Good morning, everybody. Okay, now that we've gotten started, as I said, this is not a typical keynote. I'm not a typical speaker. I'm an in-house practitioner, as Samuel just said. And this isn't a typical event. This event is quite unique. It has set challenges out for the vendors, which I think, let's do that. That's what we should be doing. Let's not have vendors tell us, don't tell me how to sell to you, because I know how to sell my product to you. Do you really? Because I don't think I want to buy from you. So they have been set a challenge. So I think that means we need to set a challenge for all of you. If you wanted to sit back and listen and just tweet some of the mini sound bites that I'm going to be saying, you can leave, go have a coffee, and come back when I'm done, because what I want you to do is I want you to challenge. I want you to think about what I'm saying. I want you to question everything. Question what I'm saying. Question what the vendors are saying. Question what every speaker is saying. Question what your network is saying. What your colleagues are saying. And say no. Stand up and say no. Get into a debate. I'm here to provoke you, hopefully. I'm here to get into a debate. And since I am here for the next 2 days, I would like us to get into a debate, to have those deep conversations. Because as I was reminded on Twitter actually yesterday, we learn through debating. That's how we learn. And I'm here to learn as well. So that means I need everybody to stand up. I was told by my boyfriend this morning to be easy because I'm first on, but I think you guys can handle it. So stand up. Great. Happy to see nobody left the room. Okay, so here's the question, and then I'll tell you what you need to do. Have digital tools made your life easier or harder? If it's easier, stay standing. If it's harder, sit down. Yeah. Yeah, or halfway. You want to hover? So about halfway, there's a handful of people who are halfway. One person sitting down. Is anybody else sitting down? See, I would sit down as well. Very, very interesting. Okay, you guys can all sit down. Thank you. So you think digital tools that we have available, or a good amount of you, majority of you, feel that your life has been made easier because of it. So now I'm going to ask a question, and let's just yell it out loud. What tool can you not live without? Twitter?
My iPhone.
Ooh, that's cheating. That's a lot of tools. Email?
No, Louis doesn't say that.
Yeah. What other tools what one tool can you not live without? Yeah.
The internet.
The internet. I heard browser. Somebody said specifically the browser. Anything else? WhatsApp. Yeah. So I asked that question last week on Twitter, and I heard email. Heard a lot of people say email. A lot of people say Twitter, Excel. Some consultants Excel, like their data. Instant messenger. And then one person said to me, a coffee cup. You know, thinking about it, a coffee cup is the poster child of productivity, don't you think? And then it got me even thinking more. Are we overcomplicating our experiences? Something so simple, because if you wake up in the morning, you could be a tea drinker. It's about that routine. You wake up, and for me, I need my cup of coffee, I need to sit at my desk, and then everything is perfect in the world. I'm ready to just get out there. So thinking about this now, would your answers still be the same? Or would you think about a pen? Or would you think about something else? Electricity. Very, very important. So we all know this. I don't have to say this to this group. Work has fundamentally changed. Before we had structure, we had 9 to 5, we had a clear segregation of your work life and your personal life. That has fundamentally changed. That we now want flexibility. We want funky new places to work. We want to be able to work wherever we can. We want to have control of actually how we choose to work, how your colleagues choose to work. That's quite difficult when you are tasked with selecting a tool to help people to work, because then you are making that decision. You're taking the control away from them. So how do you help them? It means we have to go back to the simplicity of the coffee cup. What are you trying to do? What is the objective in your organization? What is the objective or the pain point from your colleague? Have you asked some of those questions? Yes? So I told you there's going to be a lot of thinking, a lot of interaction, not just sitting. Yeah? Have you? Have you been surprised by the answers? Or have they been answers that you've already known? So going back to, and I know we've already had a bit of a debate about email, a lot of people said the one tool that they cannot work without is email. And we know today email is being a bit abused, because with all good tools, sometimes we forget how to effectively use them. Email started in 1993. That was on Wikipedia. That is the first email that was sent. That's 22 years ago. For me, I'm thinking that's quite a slow burn of how email was adopted. So we think that our company, when you implement a tool, when you say that there's change, why isn't anybody within 2 months or 2 weeks or 6 months, why aren't they using it? But how long did it take for email to actually take hold and change the way that we are working? People are resistant to change. People are slow to change. Do you like change in your day-to-day life? Yeah? That's good. I think if we can control the change, then we like it. If somebody controls the change for you, you're a bit resistant to it. So a lot of us here in this room, we can be the change enablers in our company. And we're the ones, driving that bus, maybe crashing it through the walls. And we're wondering why people aren't getting on the bus with us. It's because we haven't taken them on the journey. So mobile phones have really dramatically changed how we interact with ourselves, how we consume content, how we make decisions. Now when I travel, I just use my phone. I hardly do any prep, any research, anything, because I have my phone, because I have connection, because I have that at my fingertips. So do you remember your first phone that you had? How long did you keep that phone? A couple years?
7 years. Wow, okay.
7 years. Now look at your current phone now. How long have you had it? And when are you thinking of upgrading?
A year.
Yeah. I've heard now the life cycle is 18 months. And for companies, that is tough. Before it was 3 years. Now it's 18 months. How can a company adapt to that? A few months ago, I was watching The West Wing, and it was the first season. Has any of you watched The West Wing? No? Okay. So it's about American politics, but you don't need to know anything about that for this example. But CJ, the press secretary, was briefing the chief of staff and the president of the United States, saying about a crisis. And she said, we need to get a statement together, and we need to have a press conference tomorrow morning, because it's already broken on social media, and we need to get ahead of it before everybody knows about it tomorrow afternoon. They had 12 hours at least leadway to get ahead of it, even though it has already broken on social media. When I saw that scene, I thought, my, how times have changed, because everything is so instant. But when did that happen? Do you remember when that actually happened? I don't. And how we expect companies to actually just be along with us, to implement that as quickly as we have in our personal lives. So it goes back to the whole BYOD, bring your own device. That came out because people were frustrated by being in the workplace, working on some old, manky laptops, and where it was just frozen, where they couldn't do anything. And then they were going home and they were having the fast, easy, cutting-edge technology. So what happened? Do a lot of your companies have choose your own device, where they have options where then you can pick either an Android or an Apple or something like that? No? So choose your own device, my company has started to do this, is bring your own device was hard to control, was hard to support, was hard to secure. So from choosing your own device, you were then able, your company was able to then secure, was able to say, we can give you a choice as long as it's in this square and not in this square. So we can provide security, so we can wipe your content when need be, if you leave the company and so forth. But I see an evolution here that soon people are going to want to choose their own tools. They're not wanting to use Microsoft, as we can see from earlier, because there could be hiccups there. Or we could take it as simple as a project management tool. Somebody may want to use MS Project, but somebody wants to use Basecamp, or somebody wants to use something as simple as Trello. Ultimately, somebody, maybe you, maybe your colleagues, maybe a committee that makes that decision will need to make a decision. And how do you make that decision? You need to put your personal preferences aside, look at what you are trying to achieve, look at the frustrations of your colleagues, and then get a tool that is applicable to that. But we all know we all have our preferences, right? And there will be people, no matter if you've made a decision by committee, they're not going to like it, and they're not going to want to use it. We're struggling with that. I don't have the answers. Hopefully, maybe we could continue that debate and we could have that answers, because that is a question I keep on posing when I talk to people. When you make a decision that fits the majority, there are still going to be a large amount of people who don't like it. And how do you get them on board? Does anybody have the answer for that? No? Is it a question? Is it a question you've been asking? Have you thought about this at all? Or do you just say, this is the tool, that's it? No ifs, ands, or buts. I know some people like that. Control has always been with the organization. But as we were saying about how workplaces have changed, control is now with the employee. And a few years ago, there was a big movement of people being able to have one device. I want to have one mobile phone. I want to have work and personal on one device. Workplaces are catching up to that. They're saying, yes, go do that. Download our work apps. Have it on there. But just so you know then, our monitoring will be on there. We'll be able to do a secure swipe and clean, every once in a while. Who has one device, both personal and professional? Who's an in-house, I have to say. Who's an in-house person? One device. So I did one device. Who has two devices? The growing shift has become, in the last 2 years, to go back to 2 because people want the control back. Because workplaces and your organization, so CEOs and the board have said, yes, we'll give you what you want. We want to combine everything. But that means a few things. Now, people are saying, no, I want control. I want my personal privacy, and I want control, and I want the separate phones. I want to separate it completely. So you have to remember that you have to choose the right tool for the right objective to work better. You have to make sure that you're not infringing on people's privacy. So I'm getting a bit cryptic, and there's a reason why. Employee engagement. Who is responsible here for employee engagement, or who, with their company, has a big program of employee engagement? Right? So employee engagement started as a way to humanize work. And then boards thought, you know what, we can monetize this. We can put a process. We can put a stamp of how employees should be looking. So employee engagement, actually, now, what we know it as, I disagree with. I think it's wrong. I think it's not the direction that companies should be going, because they are looking for the gold standard of an employee. They're saying an employee has to be exuding the values, the behaviors, has to be an ambassador and champion. But we all know that we go through cycles where we love work. Were days when actually I'd really like to avoid that meeting, or I'd like to maybe stay at home, not go into the office. And a company needs to accept that. We need to accept that there are some people who, even though they may be engaged, they may not like their job for that week or for that day. And how, as all of you, can you support that? A lot of people, have you asked the question, either of your colleague or maybe a colleague in HR, if they have an example of somebody that you work with, an actual person's name, who's an engaged employee, who they think is an engaged employee? Has anyone ever asked that question? No? I set that challenge for you to do that, because it's quite interesting what some people may view as an engaged employee is not. So the stereotypical, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that a person loves work, is happy, is always challenging, but nice. So not abrasive, who just, how do I stop that? Okay. And this is when you hear, I love my job, I hate my computer. So I know this individual who is very much, despite the flexible working situation that we're all wanting to get, he likes his 9 to 5. He comes in at 9, he has his break at 10, he has his lunch at 1, and then at 2 minutes to 5, he stands up and goes, well, see you tomorrow, grabs his keys and goes. Now, a lot of people go, this person's not engaged. But he does his job, he challenges, he asks for the very best of his colleagues and the people he works with, and if needed, he will work however long he needs to be working in order to get the job done. So that gold standard of what we've been told by consultants and by experts of what an engaged employee needs to be, I say challenge that. I say stop that. Because they don't need to be involved in every single activity. They don't need to be jumping around saying, I love my job and everything's great. An engaged employee is one that challenges, who says no, who stands up. And you need to help foster that environment, to create a scenario where they're comfortable that they can do that. So that brings us to online communities. So we're here to select a tool to help bridge our companies if our offices are throughout the world or spread out through even a country. We want to provide online communities. We want to replace what's happening in real life and move it online. But the thing is, people aren't comfortable with that. They're more comfortable seeing you and speaking to you face to face. So you need to accept some people don't want the fuzzy stuff that you're pushing on your online community. They just quickly want to get the information so they can do their job. So are the tools that you are implementing, are they helping them to do their job? Or are you overcomplicating it? Are you muddling their experiences? So I don't think you can actually achieve collaboration. Collaboration is a mythical beast that will never be found. You know why? What's the definition of collaboration?
Working together.
For one goal. So what motivates you in order for a project to complete may not motivate me. We have different motivations, we have different purposes, we have different goals. What you are achieving is for cooperation, shared, mutual, overlapping goals. So stop with this collaboration. It's not going to happen. And stop talking about it like it is the new thing. We are taking words that were well defined in the Oxford English Dictionary, any dictionary of your choosing. And now, can you actually do a definition of what empowerment means or what engagement means? No, because there's different definitions depending on the company you work at. Do you know what? Your colleagues are getting frustrated about that. So stop selling what you're trying to do or what the tools you have trying to do as some of these fancy buzzwords. Sit down, talk to them, say, what are your pain points? What are you trying to do today? What's the one thing, if you were to leave at the end of your workday and you were able to achieve one thing, what would make you happy? And stop talking at them and start listening. Because once you listen, then you'll be able to understand, actually, what you're trying to do. So really what I'm saying is, help your company, because we are at a tipping point where boards and execs are catching on and saying, yes, let's use all of these tools to drive profits, to make us more money, to make our employees more efficient. But we are at a point where we're going to manipulate people. It's your job to stop that. You can implement a tool, can choose a tool, can look and change the way you and your colleagues work by ignoring what other companies are doing. By taking the tips, what you're learning here. I'm not saying, put your blinders on, stop reading the articles, stop going to conferences, stop networking. I'm not saying any of that. But stop relying on what other people are doing to drive what you need to do internally. So I want you to listen today. I want you to ask questions. I want you to evaluate. I want you to remember why you're here. I want you to really figure out what you want to get out of today. And I want you to go back to your organizations and do good. Thank you.